everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today, let's get into a video all about making beautiful bath bombs. These are going to be a fun, fruity kind of inspired bath bomb in three-toned colours, in beautiful pastel colours, and this is for a wholesale order going out to Queensland. So I thought, look, I'm going to show you exactly how I do this process of the three-toned, and they're going to be a round bath bomb. So let's get going and we'll make them absolutely gorgeous. Now, first things first, inside here I have all of my bicarbonate soda. Of course, I do have, my little sifter because we want to sift all of this. So I have already sifted all of, my ingredients in here. So in this bucket here, there is 2.2 kilograms of bicarbonate soda. Now, lots of people do say to me, oh, your recipe often changes for bath bombs. It does. It depends on the day. It depends on what I'm making. And it will also depend on how many I want to make for a customer. So this one I need to make at least 20 because this customer wants 20, and often I just throw in a small one or something for them to test out as well. Now it is three-toned, but the easiest way to do a three-tone is make this whole mixture up in white and then separate it in 3 goes and then add in your color. If you're going to be adding in 3 different colors of water-soluble dyes, you need to remember that pretend you have a pink, purple, and blue. When that goes in the water, it's probably going to turn out to be a horrible gray or brown. So because you've got to remember the colors are going to mix together. So what I personally like to do for something like this is I like to actually mix them and add mica in for the color, and then in the center of this bath bomb you could add in your color if you want the water to turn a different color. But for this one we're not going to. This one is actually going to be for children, so at this particular store. So what we're going to be doing is, like I said, just adding in the mica into this just to keep it a little bit more, less colored. So let's get going. So like I said, I do have my in here, I do have the bicarbonate soda. We're going to be adding in some beautiful kaolin clay, so I'll need to grab a spoon and organize all of that. This will actually help with the hardening of the bath bomb. So like I said, in here we do have 2.2 kilos of the bicarb. I'll be giving this recipe through the video. It won't be in the description, so you need to watch the video to get the full ingredient list, but I will give you the recipe, of course. We're going to be adding in 1 tablespoon of kaolin clay. So we're going to be adding in, like I said, a tablespoon. It's a heaped tablespoon of kaolin clay. And once we pop all of this in, like I said, and mix it all up, it's going to go on my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can do this by hand, but I suggest that you mix for at least 8 minutes by hand. Because when I do it on my stand mixer, to be really honest, I mix it for quite some time if it's colors, but there's no colors in this, so we're just going to have to mix it for a couple minutes. Now, that is the main part of the powders. We will be adding in some cream of tartar later because that will actually help harden the bomb, but we don't want to put that in until a little bit later. So now, let's take this off. We've done that, and we're going to be adding in the liquids into here. So into here, let's organize it. Now, I just do mine by a tablespoon. If you want it to be exact, measure your tablespoon, but I know this works super well for me. So now I do have my Polysorbate 80 because we're using micas, and the thing is too, I often get people say they don't want to use this. If you use micas, you really do need to. It will help disperse it, and also if you're using lots of oils, it helps disperse the oil so that the oil doesn't just float on the top of the water. It mixes in nicely into the water, and this also acts as a binder holding your bath bombs together. Now, when you use my bath bomb mix, or when you make this recipe, you will actually notice that mine feels almost like kinetic sand. And that's because it holds together much tighter than your standard bath bomb. And it's taken me a long time to learn this, to sort of practice and to be happy with exactly what I'm doing. So like I said, 1 tablespoon of that, and it is a heaped tablespoon. These are all heaped tablespoons. So we're going to be adding in 3.5 tablespoons of sweet almond oil. You can use a different oil, but remember, each oil you change may change the recipe consistency. We're going to add in 1 tablespoon of jojoba oil, but once again, if you don't want to use this because it is expensive, you can just use your sweet almond or something else. Now today I'm going to be using this, it's Fruit Loops. So I'm going to be using this one. This one's from Pure Candle Supplies. I just got a little bottle because I only use this in some bath bombs, and it's going to be 2 tablespoons of that. You could use more, like you can definitely use more, but I just try and keep it to that amount because it is a fragrance, so we don't want it to be too crazy, do we? So now let's go over, we'll pop it in the stand mixer and we'll give this a really good mix as we're going along. And also, you know, we are going to spray it with witch hazel, and I forgot to tell you, we're going to be adding in 1 tablespoon of water as well. It needs to be distilled water, so make sure you go over and grab that. And while I move the camera around, I'll just pop in that little bit of water, and then we will get to use the mixer, which is to the side. Now, when we're doing the mix up, please remember you do need to use one of these. This is a paddle. You can't be using a whip. And the reason is once it turns around, because it's going to go like this, turn around the whole time like this in the mixer. And it's allowing for all of the mixture to run through these holes really easily. If you use the other one, it's basically spinning the whole time, whereas this is sort of doing this the whole time. So it aerates the mixture and helps it get that beautiful consistency. So make sure you use a paddle if you're using one. I only use a super cheap stand mixer. It's like the cheapest one from a department store. You don't need a KitchenAid. Of course, KitchenAids are absolutely amazing, and if you have one, dedicate it just to your soap if you can, but I can't afford to dedicate one to my soap. I don't even have one in my normal kitchen, but I have ordered one for my kitchen, which my dad actually had left me some money when he passed away, so that's what I bought, and I know that he would be super happy that I got one of those. So anyway, like I said, let's get going. We'll pop all this in the stand mixer. I'll pop on the paddle, and let's get making something really amazing. Now, as you can see, here is my stand mixer. Like I said, it's like a $60 one from a department store. I think $69 actually. We're just going to turn the dial on, and we will just keep it on low. So just keep it on low, but I won't talk during this because obviously it gets a little noisy. Now, I've just stopped it after a minute or so. We're going to get our witch hazel, which I keep mine in a spray bottle. We're going to spray 7 to 10 sprays. I usually just say about 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it does need that witch hazel. Water will not do the same job. Now, in between stirring, make sure that you mix it, because as you can see, there's little clumps of oil here. So we just need to get the spatula and just, you know, pull it off the sides, and then we'll turn it back on for a few more minutes. And like I said, mix again. So we've mixed this quite a lot. Now we're going to just add in some cream of tartar. I don't really put this one through the sifter. You don't really need to as much, but we're going to put 2 heaped tablespoons of this. If you don't add enough of this, it won't go hard. And my bath bombs are rock hard. Like honestly, you could tap them on the bench. They're not going to crack and fall apart. So that's really important, especially if you're doing this as a business and you're sending it in the mail, because they need to be a bit harder in the mail. So we're going to mix this up again, like I said, and then we will add the citric acid. Then we're going to separate it so that we can add the colors in. So I've added in my sifter, as you can see, because we are going to be adding in the citric acid, and you can see it's got a few lumps in it. And bath bombs, if you've got all the lumps, what actually happens is that's when you get a bath bomb that has all those ugly pimple looking things on the outside. So it's really important to sift as much as you can through the sifter. And now for my citric acid, generally you're going to add 50% of the amount that you add in bicarb. So if you add 1,000 bicarb, you're going to be adding 500 citric acid. But mine, I just add a little bit less. As we all know, citric acid is very expensive at the moment. And it does not need that much citric acid anyway. You can add like 40%. That's generally what I do, is 40 to 45% of the main amount. So the amount that I've actually added in this, and remember we have 2.2 kilos of the bicarb, and I've actually added 890 grams of the citric acid in here. So like I said, we've added all that in. We're going to give it a mix, and then we're going to take it out. Now I've got my mixture in here, as you can see, and as you can see, this is basically as much as you can add into a standard mixer. It's pretty full, and you can see already mine's already holding in my hand. But we're going to separate this into 3 colors, so let's just grab the first bowl. And this is just random. I'm not weighing this up exactly, but you know, it's roughly, you know, dividing this into 3s. And I always make a big mess, but you know, that doesn't matter. And you can see how beautiful it really does look. And if you can see, the consistency of mine looks a little drier than most, but once you hold it in your hand, it's all good. And that's what you want. You just want to be able to hold that, drop it a little bit, and it keeps clumps. Then you know that's good to go. And the reason that we know that this is pretty good, like I said with the mixture here, is the way that it's holding as well. But all of these oils I put in have actually helped hold it. So like I said, I'm going to just separate all of these. So we'll just set that one on top, and we'll just add a bit more in. That wasn't a good idea, was it? Because I'd make a big mess otherwise. So like I said, we're going to separate all of this. And we're in Australia as well, everybody. So it does get warm here. We are in winter, but today is actually quite a sunny day for our winter. And inside my studio here, it's about 30 degrees roughly. But today I think it's about 26 degrees in winter. In Melbourne, we do have very cold days, but today's just a nice, you know, this is a nice day for us. Where I live, we don't get snow or anything like that. So now I've roughly divided it up. Let me just kind of add it a bit more, but it doesn't matter. You can do this with 2 colors as well, or you can use this mix with just 1 color if you want. So now I always just work on one at a time. Do make sure you're sort of doing this in your hand, because this will get any lumps and bumps out. Now we want this a pastel color, so I'm going to use this. This is from Sud Off. It's called Crystalline Teal. It is honestly one of my favorite colors. We're just going to add like half a tablespoon of the mica. We will see what we think as we mix it. Once again, like I said, just mix it, you know, in your hands like this. Now, you do have to work fast, everybody. If we leave this too long, it will actually start to set up and be very tricky. So, because it will actually start to harden. With my mixture, it will. You only have a small window to make your bath bombs. You have about a 25-minute window at the most before it starts going funny. And try not to add in things like, you know, a lot of people add in extra water or witch hazel. Try not to do that, because that can literally ruin your bath bombs. We really don't want to do that. And if there's any little white lumps, which might be from any powders, just make sure that you're, like I said, rubbing it through your fingers and getting all of that out, because we don't want that. So now look how beautiful that color is. It's absolutely gorgeous. So now we will go on to the next. This one here is blue. I think this is called Monster Blue, also from Sud Off. I only use Sud Off's micas. I don't use any other companies. I used to use a few different companies, but once I used theirs, I was sold, because I really do love their product. And they're pretty fast getting it out. If you're in Australia, they only distribute around Australia, I think. But, you know, go to their website and have a look. It's called sudoff.com. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I just know of the company. So I just try and give advice that I, you know, or places that I like and that have worked well and have got lovely owners and things like that. So I think we just want a little bit more blue than that. Now I know the camera sometimes doesn't show the colours exact, but I promise you they're beautiful. Because in my studio here, the lighting is not amazing. It really isn't. I wish it was a bit better. But there's 4 fluorescent lights, and I don't know why, but only one is working, the others won't. So I have to get my husband to come in here and see what's happening with that light, I think. And so you can see that I'm just mixing this with my hand. If you have several mixers, you can use them. I used to actually have 3 when I had the warehouse, but I don't work in my warehouse anymore. We built a purpose studio on our property, this particular little building here was already here, but we just, sort of changed it into a purpose sort of built thing. So that's the blue. So now I just work out here, which is kind of good because it takes everything away from the house. So when I come out here, I know I'm actually going to work, which is sometimes a good thing, isn't it? Now, if you make your mixture and you feel before you start, if you feel like it needs some witch hazel, only give it 1 spray or 2 sprays at the most. Definitely not more than that, because you don't want it to go, a bit crazy. And look, as I said before, there's different ways that you could do this. I mean, you could mix one mixture, then you could go and do your stand mixer again and redo it again for the next color, and so on if you want to do different colors. The only thing with that is often the first one dries out the time you got to the third, so that can be a little bit messy. And I don't have an electric presser. I just do it all by hand, and I will show you. I use the Express Bath Bomb machine, which is just like a little handheld thing. You can get it from them, and that's in the US. If you're in Australia, I think it's called like Bath Bomb World Afterpay. It's not Afterpay, it's just called that. And I'm pretty sure that's what they actually call it, and then you can actually buy it through them. It used to be on Bath Bomb World, but for some reason they made a separate account which is called Bath Bomb World Afterpay to sell them. But I actually bought mine a couple years ago when it was just on Bath Bomb World. But if you're in America or somewhere else, then I'm pretty sure you can just go to express.com and then they will sell it to you from there. So, but honestly, it's a very good machine. The molds are not cheap, but they're the best molds I've ever used. They're very good, so I'll show you the mold. And I've had the mold for years, so it did cost, I think, about $100, but it was so worth the money. And I think when I ordered mine, I got a couple molds, the machine sent to Australia, and it was roughly $500. But like I said, that was some time ago. So now we have the pink. It's looking a bit beautiful, isn't it? So here you go. These are going to be our colours. Now, so what we're going to do, this is the hardest thing, trying to find the space. So I'm going to move them back a bit, and I will show you. This is the mold we're going to be using, which is, like I said, the Bath Bomb Express. It's a 3-piece mold. So the first one, it just comes like this, and you just drop that in there, and then I use a scale to tear it out because I weigh every single bath bomb as I'm making it. So let me organize my bench because it's looking a little bit crazy and messy at the moment. Only, like I said, because I'm doing all of this and I'm working on a smaller bench. Alright, so I pressed everything out to the side. So literally all we're going to do is pop this on our scale. We'll tear out the scale, so then it's weighing the product that's on it. And now we're just going to literally add a bit of each. Now I'm going to show you a trick. When I've added this, if you get your hands and pinch it to the inside, that way it will drop the next one in. And I'll show you what I mean. Pinch it again, and it's going to just add that really nice dimension around the outside. And we'll add the pink on. I want to weigh it because I need mine to equal 150 because I sell them as 150. So now we're just going to add the top on just like so. I just drop this on the bench and clean the bench later because you don't want to put it back into the bowls, otherwise the colours will get too mixed. Press it on our machine, and we're going to just, you can use anything honestly to press this out. You don't need anything fancy. And I almost dropped it then. That's not what you do. So anyway, we've got it here, and we just get the scissors to tap it. I just use scissors to tap it. You can use a knife, a spoon, anything you want, and never tap the top, otherwise it crashes the top. So there you go. It's looking a bit beautiful, isn't it? And we'll open this bit, and then that's basically what the bath bomb is going to look like. So I'm going to get going, and I'll keep making these, and I will show you at the end how gorgeous they look. So I hope that this has been a bit fun for you to watch and to understand how I'm actually making them. And look, there's no right or wrong. Don't feel like you've got to do something a certain way. You can do different colours. There's so many things that you can do. But if you're selling to a store, I definitely suggest that you weigh every single bath bomb. It's really important. And if you're making 150 grams, make them be like, 155, because remember, when I sort of, do this and wipe all the edges off, what actually happens with this is you're losing some. So, the 155 will come down to 150. And now, before I go as well, I wanted to talk to you all about something. I've been asked lots of questions lately about pricing on bath bombs and how you get that beautiful, price that suits you and also suits everyone else. Now, can I actually tell everybody, the thing that I think is super important, everyone, is making sure, you're getting what you're paid, what you deserve, because my bath bombs, as you can see, as I've already shown on here, they got jojoba oil and everything. They're not a cheap bath bomb that you get from a department store. Like, they actually cost quite a lot of money to make these with the ingredients that I'm using. And I use the most expensive citric acid as well that's on the market in Australia, because it's soft, it's beautiful, and I know it works. So, make sure you get your worth. So to give you an idea, my bath bombs, I actually charge retail $9 for this size, and then my bigger ones are $13.95. And of course, wholesale, you got to charge less. So I charge half of that wholesale. So I hope that kind of helps everybody just to understand what I charge. I mean, you charge whatever you like, but you've got to be realistic and get paid for what you should be getting paid for. But anyway, like I said, that's just a little bit of information. I will finish these off and I will come back and show you at the end. So here you go, everyone. They are ready. Don't they look so sweet? So I think they look absolutely gorgeous. And we are finished doing these ones. As I said, it's not something I love doing, is the multicolored, but they still look really, really sweet. We have finished making them, but I wanted to show you these. These are tiny baby ones. And this was with just the mixture left, and they're like 40 grams or something. But I thought, look, let's just make a couple of these little cuties. So any mixture, just pop it all together, and it becomes a little bit of a fairy floss inspired bath bomb. So I hope you loved today's video. I hope you've learned something amazing, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, friends.